Okay, good morning all. So, in the last class, we saw how to display a 3D object in our camera view, right? So, today we will see how to trigger the 3D object only when we see a 2D image. It can be a QR code, it can be some image, whatever it is. Only when we see a 2D image, we will trigger that 3D object. Okay? So, if you remember, okay, okay. Why is it saying build field? This is working. Why the build is failing? Let me give a different name. Suddenly it's saying iOS module is not installed. I don't know why. Again, I need to install it. Okay. Okay, right now let's just simulate in Unity itself. So this is what we will see in the camera view. I don't know if you are able to see this. It's visible. It's small. Okay. Let me switch off these lights. Let me increase its size so that okay. Position. Yeah. Okay, so this will be visible in the camera view when you run the app. Okay, now what we want to do is we want it to be visible only when it sees a trigger, a QR code or an image. Only then we want this to be visible. So that's what we will do now. So we can have different images and we can have different 3D models overlaying on each of those images. Like maybe let's imagine we have different QR codes. On QR code 1, I can have this 3D object overlaying. On QR code 2, I can have maybe that beach house overlaying. On QR code 3, I can have some other thing overlaying. So what we need to do in Unity is all these images we need to place somewhere called XR reference image library. Okay, so to do that, we need to go to this assets AR markers folder and which of these markers we want to use, we need to choose them. Like suppose I want to use this marker as my trigger, as my image 2D trigger, or this one as my 2D trigger, or this one as my 2D trigger. Since I am overlaying this 3D character, I will use this image as my 2D trigger. That is, whenever my camera sees this image, it will overlay the 3D object on top of this image in my camera view. Okay, so this is what we will choose. Okay, now for that, before that, so here we need to right click, and on the markers folder you need to right click and say create XR reference image library. Okay, so in the assets folder you have markers folder. Within that you need to create a kind of an asset called reference image library. For that you need to right click on this markers folder and then go to create and then go to XR and then click on reference image library. Okay, so it creates a reference image library. Now we need to add images to this reference image library. Okay, so here, yeah, so when this is selected, here in the inspector panel you will see add image option. So click on add image option. Okay, and here you can select the image. Here you see a select button. Okay, click on select button. Now you can select this image. Yeah, so this is the image we want to use as our 2D trigger, right? So all the images in our assets folders are visible here. So click on add image there and then you will get, so let me show it again. Here first on markers folder, right click, create XR reference image library. When you click that, you will get this reference image library asset in your markers folder. Then here you click on add image, okay, and then here you will see empty box. Here you click on select button. Once you click on select button, you will see the various images, out of which you select one of these 3 QR codes. Okay, I selected this QR code. Fine, this is selected. Okay. If you are in iOS, you also need to specify the size. Okay, so here just below this you see this checkbox, specify size. So specify some approximate size. It need not be exact, but approximate size is necessary. So you can say 0.1 and 0.1. Okay. All right. So once you specify the size, this image will be used as a trigger. Okay. Now the 3D object will come. We need to do something more. Right now, first we need to add this image, and then second thing what we need to do is we need to be able to track this image. That is, the 3D object should come only when it sees this image, not the moment you switch on the app. Okay. So for that we need to do one more thing. So in the hierarchy, select AR session origin. Okay. And then here click on add component, and here you need to type AR tracked image manager. Okay, AR tracked image. So here you see you are seeing different options. You need to select AR tracked image manager component. Okay. Now in this, in the serialized library property, you click on this circle, okay, and select this reference image library asset. So let me show it again. Let me remove it. So click on AR session origin in the hierarchy panel. Then in the inspector panel, click on add component. And here start typing AR tracked image manager. Here you will see options. Select AR tracked image manager. Okay. Now here you will see a field called serialized library. So this is looking for the XR reference image library. Okay. So here you click on this circle and select this reference image library. Okay. So basically what it means is your library has some set of images. If it finds any of these images, it will overlay the corresponding 3D object on top of that image. In this case, we added only one image to the XR reference library. So only this image it will track. Okay. Here we are giving the entire library, not 1 or 2 images. And whatever images are there in this library, it will track them. It will try to detect them. Okay. Now here in the tracked image prefab property, so here you see another field, tracked image prefab. So here what we are supposed to do, in the assets AR marker, under assets we have AR marker folder. In that we have prefabs folder. In that, whatever prefab we want to overlay, let's go to AR session origin. So here you see tracked image prefabs. So here you drag the prefab that you want to overlay. Okay. We want to overlay this John Lemon. So drag it onto this tracked image prefab field. Okay. Okay. Now select the prefab, and uncheck it so that it won't come by default. So here in the prefabs, not this one, yeah. So here in the hierarchy, select your prefab and uncheck it, because if it is checked by default, it will come the moment the camera opens. So if you uncheck it, it will come only when it sees the 2D image. Okay. So now actually if you run it, it should come only when it sees the 2D image. I'm unable to show it now because my iOS app module, it is saying I need to install it again. I don't know why it is asking again. So we did 2-3 things. First, we created an XR reference image library. So where did we create that? In assets, in AR marker, in markers folder, we right clicked on markers, then we said create XR reference image library. Okay. And after creating this reference image library, we added an image, whatever image we want to use as target. We added that image. Here we clicked on select, and then we selected the image we wanted. Okay. And then if you are using iOS, you have to specify the size, at least approximate size. Okay. You should check this box and then say 0.1, 0.1 in X and Y values. After that, we go to AR session origin, and then we clicked on add component, and in add component, we typed AR tracked image manager. Okay. So in that AR tracked image manager, we get some fields, that is serialized library and tracked image prefabs. In serialized library field, we click on this circle, and then we see this reference image library. Click on that, so that will be added to the serialized library, which means these are the set of images that we want to track. Whatever images are there in this library, those we want to track. And then in tracked image prefabs, we need to drag, you need to go to the prefabs folder here and drag the prefab that you want to be overlaid on top of the 2D image. Okay. If not null, instantiates this prefab for each detected image. Okay. So that's what it means. So once that is done, in the hierarchy, click on the prefab name and uncheck it, so that that prefab doesn't come automatically. It should come only when it sees the triggered image. All right. That's all. So once you do that, you will be able to test your marker. That is, only when you see the marker, your 3D object will be overlaid. Let me see if I can at least show the video. Okay, so in this case, they are using a different 3D object. So the moment it sees the AR marker, only then that 3D object is being overlaid. Okay, so let me just show it again. So here you don't have the 3D object initially, so only when it sees the 3R marker, AR marker, it is overlaying the 3D object. Okay. Similarly, in our case, our QR marker is slightly different and the 3D object is slightly different. When we see our QR code, only then that 3D object will be overlaid. Okay. In case you did all these steps, it should work for you. If you want, you can give it a try, because mine iOS, again I need to install, but you shouldn't be facing that issue. I don't know why it is asking again. It's downloading. So either you can take a printout of your image and use that image, place it on the table and use it as a reference, or you can display that image over your monitor. And when you connect your phone, you can use that image on your monitor as the trigger, and that 3D object will overlay on your monitor. Okay, so you can see it looks like this. Okay, so here it, instead of printing, that object is there directly on your monitor, but initially it won't come like that. Initially it will come at 90 degrees angle. Not this. You see, initially it comes perpendicular to the image like this, because that's how it is programmed. Whatever is the inclination of the image, it will come perpendicular to that. Since the image is on our monitor, the 3D object will come perpendicular like this. But what we want is, we want it to be aligning with the monitor screen. Okay, so for that we need to go back to Unity and click on our prefab. Okay, and you can double click on that. Sorry. Yeah, here you can click on open. On top right, click on open, and here in this hierarchy you should click on the second one, John Lemon mesh. Whatever object you have in the hierarchy, the second, that is the immediate child, is ending with a word mesh. Okay, so you should click on that, and then what we want to do, so if you the default state is, it will come like this. What we want is, we want it to come like this. Okay, so you rotate this prefab 90 degrees backwards, so that it will come 90 degrees backwards when it sees the trigger. Fine. Hopefully if this downloading is done. Oh, it's done. Okay, let me see if I can run it now. Okay, we go back. stop it and do it again. Does anyone have USB-C wire? Cable? No? Because I need one for the iPad. Okay. Okay, so right now it is not showing anything because it needs a trigger. Okay, so now I need to copy this trigger into my phone at least. Okay. Just give me a minute.